Today we're building out a drawer system in the back of my Raptor swapped F-150. Because most of the time, it looks like a college kid's trunk. My gear gets randomly tossed into this designated camp bin. No specific place, so we're changing that today. So we're gonna be building a custom drawer system. A system that holds all the gear I need to take when I'm out adventuring, still holds the spare tire, and will eventually be home to a fridge and some of the power system I'm putting in the bed of my truck. So let's get into it. So the back all cleared out now, it's time to grab some measurements and then figure out how much material I'm gonna need for this thing. So we got 67 inches there. 65. So this is a side profile of kind of what I'm thinking here. So towards the back of the bulkhead, it'll be up 7 inches across and then come up over. That's going to be what's going to retain the tire. And then behind the tire carrier here, obviously it'll kind of slant up for that tire so it's retained to the wall. All this right here will end up being a drawer. The fridge will then be mounted on top, also on a slide. So if I want to, I have the option to slide that fridge out. I think ultimately to have a proper understanding and just kind of see how it all works, I'm just going to start building it, see how it goes. I have a basic plan. I have some basic measurements. So I'll just make a little list of the materials I need. If I need more, I'll run back, no big deal. And I can start by building the power system, get the spare tire fit on top, then actually determine how deep of a drawer I have so I can buy some slides. So quick stop at Home Depot. I ended up getting two 8-foot pieces of 1x1 1-inch thick angle aluminum. Holy crap, that was a mouthful. And I ended up getting 3 3/4-inch sheets of this plywood. I was looking at getting like the birchwood, but the pricing compared to the ACX was like pretty crazy. So decided just to go with those. Now time to head on over to Eric's and we'll start getting the drawer system built. Off to Eric's.
Put all these little carts around over there.
Okay, set yours down. Alright, so I got all the wood unloaded here. I ended up making a quick run to go buy some 1x6s for the frame. So I just kind of want to show you what I've got going on here. So inside the bed, I have the spare tire rigged up. That's about where it's going to sit. I used the factory jack to raise it up just so I could make sure that that like drawer box section back there is going to fit properly. And I also gave myself a few inches on top. The reason I'm checking this and giving myself just a few inches of clearance on top is for when I get other 37s, because this is a BF Goodrich. It actually measures out a 35. So when I get a true 37, I've got to give myself just a little bit of clearance there. So on the bottom total is going to be 8 inches up. So I'm thinking about having a 6-inch tall box on the inside, and that'll have like the power system because they make super flat batteries. I think that'll work. Or even having the battery kind of tucked back in that corner where the spare tire is not going to be affecting it. And then overall, I just kind of measured everything. I'll have a 30-inch long drawer and have it, so it'll be 30 inches long and a foot tall. And then I actually haven't decided the width of it yet, but probably 2 foot wide. Then I'll build dividers and stuff on the inside, and I mean, just looking at everything, mocking it up, I think it's gonna work. So I've got the frame all bolted together now. So this is going to be the drawer section here. It's going to be a 30-inch deep drawer. The overall frame is a foot tall. And then we've got this section back there that'll have the spare tire. I've got the top cut out for that right over here. So I'm going to build some sort of latching system to actually latch the top down on there. So far building this thing is going pretty well. I'm noticing a lot of imperfections and twists, bends, whatever in the boards, even though I picked out the straightest ones I possibly could. So I'm kind of hoping once I get all the plywood and stuff on the sides, everything straightens up a little bit. Let's keep going. All right, it is a new day back over here at Eric's. I ended up going and picking up some carpet, and then I was able to get some 30-inch drawer slides locally here in town. These things are legit 500-pound load rating each, so that'll be more than enough. This is currently where I'm at with the drawers. This is kind of just like the outer frame. I didn't really get too far yesterday. Kind of kept squirrel braining, but time to keep rolling. So now that all secured, I'm going to go through, drill a bunch of pilot holes for the other ones. Kind of did split the wood a little bit here because I wasn't drilling pilot holes. With how small the screws were, I didn't think it was going to be an issue. But I'm going to go through and do that now across so I can pull all the boards straight. So I started test fitting the drawer size, just seeing if, I should get those put in there now. And I came to a realization that I should probably skin the whole outside before I put the slides in, just in case anything shifts, because some of the boards have a little bit of a twist in them, and I'm a little bit afraid that once I screw everything together, it might move some things around, and I don't want to affect how that drawer is. So I'm going to get it skinned and then go ahead and get the drawer put in. Alright, so this is where I'm at now. The whole entire frame's put together. Sides are all skinned and ready to start building out the drawer. Alright, so slides are now mounted. I ended up taking a measurement from the inside of both slides, measurement from the top to bottom, giving myself a 1/4 inch of room for expansion, and then just verified that I'm actually 30 inches deep to the back wall in there. So I kind of sketched out how I'm going to do it. Yeah, let's get going. Alright, check this out. I got the side cut here. This will fit in here. And then I gave myself 3/4 inch for the back, so this will end up sitting flush. And then faceplate goes on, and that will be how big the drawer is. This feels like a bad idea. That's not very straight. Fixed it. Got a drawer now. So the top kind of ended up coating okay, but it's not really doing what I want it to do. So I'm going to try using some spray on stuff and see if that works better. All right, so the bed liner wasn't really working out. It was kind of runny. I couldn't put it on the face of the drawer without it running or really holding the texture for some reason. I tried painting it and then putting it on to see if maybe that helped with like the absorption of it. Wasn't really working, so with how much bed liner I ripped through even just doing the top, which actually looks pretty good, I ended up just running and grabbing some carpet, and I'm just going to carpet it. End of the day, it's sealed in the back there. I'm going to be putting some edge trim on it. If I see any issues on the side that's exposed, I'll address that later, but time to install some carpet. All right, this thing is mostly all the way carpeted now. I'll probably do a little bit in the inside. I've got tons left, but drawer is all carpeted, at least the face of it is. I'll be carpeting the inside. Kind of messed up and didn't really square that piece off super well, but that aluminum that's sitting up over there is going to be going on all of the top edges. So this is where it's sitting at right now. I'm going to go through and probably Sharpie up all the silver staples, but looking super good so far. Stoked to see this thing sitting in the truck. So I ended up letting this thing sit over the weekend, kind of had some more ideas pop up about it. I used the rest of the bed liner back in here where I was going to be putting the power system. However, my plans have kind of changed a little bit. I decided having all the power system back here enclosed where it's going to be hot is probably not the best idea. I could put vent fans on the sides, but then I'm
actually hurting the actual structure of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the plywood and I'm going to make a couple runners in here, and then that board that sits on top, the tire is not going to take up the entire top. So what I'll end up doing is probably cutting it about right down the middle-ish, putting it on some hinges so I can open this up, have a couple dividers, put like jumper cables, whatever else underneath here, stuff that's not going to matter if the tire's bouncing around. And then as far as the power system goes, I was just looking at some molly panels that I can put up on the front like bulkhead of the GFC. So I'll probably end up doing that and then mounting like all my power system stuff there, besides like maybe the battery and stuff could sit down in here. But yeah, everything on the outside's all carpeted. And then I'll go ahead and make these slats, work on getting the top put together. All my latches and everything showed up, and we'll get it secured in the truck today.
Alright, so I got all the slats in here. I ended up also making one there just to help protect the back of the drawer, so when I'm opening things up, in case that's kind of stacked, nothing's rolling and catching in front of the slides. I just use these little angle pieces on both sides to kind of secure everything. And then also up here on the drawer door, I ended up putting those on the face as well, just to help keep things from, you know, popping off, because I may or may not have already popped the door off with just the 4 screws in there, so that was needed. Working on doing all the edge guard now, giving them a little 45 so they'll all butt up super nice. Alright, so I ended up getting all the edge trim on here. I'm just doing just the top section because that'll be the most abuse. Then I ended up taking the little offcut piece here, the little extra, and I made it into a little handle. So now what I'm going to do is take the top board, set it over here, measure, figure out where I'm going to cut it down the middle, put hinges on it, and then once that's all carpeted the inside drawer, ready to go in the truck. And just like that, this thing is complete and about ready to get put in the truck. Just needs to get cleaned up. Got a little bottle opener here. It's just kind of a cheap one on Amazon. Kind of doesn't fit the vibe, so I might pull it back off and spray paint it some kind of silver. But here's the drawer system, or the door, I mean, in the back. Seamless on the carpet. Has these little toggle switches here. Maybe I can do this one-handed. And then just lifts up. You've got access down into there. And as far as actually mounting this thing goes, I've got these D-rings on every single corner. And then those will end up securing and tying down into these on this side. Then I'll have to figure out what I'm doing on this side. Let's get this thing all cleaned up, clean out the back of the truck, and get this thing installed. I ended up ordering these turnbuckles to hold it down from the side, and unfortunately these are too long to actually hit from the D-ring down to the mounting point on the truck bed, so I'm going to have to get some shorter turnbuckles, and then I'll be figuring out how this is actually going to secure down on this side, unless I end up just getting in there and just drilling a couple holes through the floor and just putting some big bolts and washers in. We'll see. So I didn't get actually mounting the drawers on video, but simply what I ended up doing was running down Ace, grabbing some eyelets and some smaller turnbuckles. I drilled some holes in the floor in the bed right next to where the box is so I could mount it super low profile. Put big washers on the bottom side and tighten down the turnbuckles, and it's been holding it down great. So now we're going to get this cargo box installed underneath the back seat. It sits flush to this seat so none of my gear can come bouncing out. Installation is super simple. Assembly starts with buttoning the 3 pieces together using thumb screws to tighten them all up, and then 2 thumb screws hold it to the seat brackets here in the back so it's not sliding around. This is super cool and is going to help me a ton for keeping all of my cargo secure here in the back of my truck. If you're interested in this product, there is a link down in the description, as well as links for anything else we used in the drawer system. So that completes what I would call phase 1 of the drawer system build in the back. We've got the drawer system all built. Camping gear is all secure in the back now. Got it all carpeted, aluminum edge trim. It looks super good. It definitely doesn't look like I built it. Spare tire is now secured back up in there. And the next steps are just going to be sourcing a MOLLE panel for the GFC and then working on finding the power system, a solar panel to go on top of the GFC, a battery, inverter, all that fun stuff. And then I was doing some research and I actually found these cool tilt slides. So they slide out and tilt. So instead of having to reach all the way up in here for a fridge, that's what I'm going to end up doing, as well as sourcing a fridge. So stay tuned for the next one. I'm going to work on sourcing all of the electronics and we'll get this thing all wrapped up. I would love to hear your thoughts, opinions, and recommendations. What do you think I should add to this drawer system or in the back of my truck? Or what should I use for my power system? Let me know down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.